In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the parking brake shoes on this Ram 1500. If you need parts for your vehicle, make sure you get those at 1aauto.com. Let's get into it. We're going to remove the wheel, use a 22mm socket, take the lug nuts off. And remove the wheel. We're going to remove the wheel speed sensor wire from the brake hose. Just slide these grommets off. Just separate that. We're going to take the caliper and bracket off all as one. Use a 21mm socket. Take the two bolts out. Just grab the caliper, you can rock it back and forth a little bit, and just slide the pads off the rotor. Now using a caliper hook, just going to hang it from the coil spring out of the way. And just using a hammer and tapping in these locations, be careful not to hit the studs, loosen up the rotor. Rock it back and forth, slide it off. We're going to take the fill plug out first. I'm just going to use a straight blade screwdriver. Just get under this little cap. It's just a rubber cap. Pop this off. Just like that. With a drain bucket underneath, we're going to pull the drain plug out. You want to use a 14mm hex socket or an H14 socket. And drain the fluid out. It's all drained out. Just going to take a rag, a little bit of brake parts cleaner, wipe it down. You don't want to spray the brake parts cleaner in there. That's good. Take the drain plug, you want to wipe it off, and I'm just going to use a little bit of pipe sealer and just spread that around. That's good. Get that started. Snug that up a little bit, then we're going to torque that to 52 foot-pounds. That's good. We're going to take these cover bolts out. I'm going to use a 13mm socket. Make sure you have a drain bucket underneath because you're probably going to have a little fluid come out. Then using a pry bar, I'm just going to give it a tap with a hammer. Try to get underneath it. Just pry it out, just like that. Pull the bolt out and slide the cover right off. You're going to put the vehicle in neutral and you want to spin the drive shaft so that you get this bolt right here to line up right here. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to take the bolt out. and then put the vehicle back in park. Now we're using a 8mm socket. Take this bolt out. And slide the bolt out. With a magnet, I'm just going to grab this lock pin and slide it out. Now we're going to push the axle in from the outside, and then you're going to have a C-clip fall out. If it didn't fall out, you can use a magnet, grab it. Just make sure you don't spin the axle. Just grab the axle. Again, don't spin it. Just carefully pull it out. We're going to take these clips off first. I'm just using a trim tool so I can push in the center here, and then just try to twist the pin from the back side. Be careful doing this. You don't want the clip to fly out. Get that to line up. Do the same on this one. Push it down and spin it. And you can push and try to spin it from the front. Just like that. Just push the pins out, grab those from the back just so you don't lose them. Now we're going to take the adjuster out. You can adjust that down. And then just grab it and just slide it out. Just pop it off one side. Once you get that out, you can take the spring out as well. It should slide right out. Just be careful, don't pinch your fingers. Now we're going to take the shoes off. Just use a pry bar. Just get in behind here. Just pry this outwards. Just want to like kind of rotate it like that, and it slides right off. You can take the springs out. Just like that. Just keep in mind when you're putting it back together, that's the direction the springs went. Take the parking brake shoes. You can see the bottom part, there's a little curved part and then a notch. That's different than the top part on this side. On the other side, it's going to be the opposite. Take the spring with the spring side on this side. It's going to be away from where that little shoe is, hitting the backing plate. And the spring on this side. And we're going to attach them to the other shoes. Just like that. I'm going to start on this side. Push that in there. And we're just going to fold it over. Twist it on like that. Take the top spring. Get that in position, and you want to spread this apart. Take the adjuster, line this up on one side. And if you can pull them apart with your hands, you can do that. Just get this slid in spot, just like that. Push that in. It's good like that. Or you can use some prying tools, a couple pry bars. It might help if you have an assistant. Pry it out while you slide that in place. Take the pins, go in from the back. Now take the clip, slide that over. I'm just using a trim tool, pushing, and then just spin the pin and let go. Do the same on the other side. Push it in. Try to spin the pin, or even spin the clip while the pin stays. Even using some needle nose to get this to line up right. That's good. Take the axle, just slide it in. You're gonna lift it up a little bit because you have to get it lined up in the splines of the differential. Slide it all the way in. The C-clip, line that up. With that in, then just pull the axle outwards. Then you can do the same on the other side if you need to. Take this pin, slide it in place. Might have to move the gear a little bit. Oops, don't go too far. You want to make sure that hole is lined up on the side with where the screw's going to go, right there. Take the lock screw. It's a good idea to replace this. Put a little thread lock adhesive on it. And torque this to 19 foot-pounds. That's good. We're just going to clean up this area, all the gasket material. Just use a razor blade or a scraper. Just scrape as much of it off as possible. And on the back of the cover, you want to do the same. Just use a scraper or a razor blade. Just clean up this as much as possible. Just get as much of that RTV up as you can. Use a little brake parts cleaner. Just clean off the back side. Just wipe it with a rag. That looks good. You can spray some on the rag and then just wipe down the surface area on the differential. I'm just going to use some RTV, just put a thin bead, just go around the bolt holes. Carefully, without hitting the ring gear, slide this in place. Push it on. You can wiggle it a little bit, back and forth, and get the bolt started. Start snugging those down. Now we're going to torque these all down to 32 foot-pounds. Good. Now we're going to let that set up a little bit before we add the gear oil. And we're going to fill up the rear differential, use the appropriate gear oil. Double check your owner's manual. We're using 75W140, and it's a synthetic blend, and this does have the additive already in it. If your vehicle has a limited slip differential, you're going to need to add a limited slip additive. So make sure your fluid already has that in it. There we go. It's full. A little less than 3 quarts, about 2.5. You can see the oil's right up to the base of the filler. Wipe this off, take the cap, line it up, and push it in. And you can wipe off the excess. I'll just take a little anti-seize copper grease, just give it a couple squirts. Just don't get it on the studs. And if you're reusing old rotors, you want to clean in this area with a wire brush as well. Slide this on. I'm going to make some adjustments for the parking brake. And just rotate it. Just barely touching, that's good. Take the brake caliper off the hanger, line this up, go over the rotor. The bolts, get those started. Snug those down. Now we'll torque these to 132 foot-pounds. And take the wiring harness for the wheel speed sensor. Push those in to the grommets and the clips. That's good. Now reinstall the wheel. Line it up. Put the lug nuts on. Tighten those down. Now I'm going to torque the lug nuts to 130 foot-pounds in a cross pattern to tighten the wheel down evenly. And just go around again, double check. Well, I hope this video helped you out, and if you need parts for your vehicle, make sure you get those at 1aauto.com, and you can watch all those repair videos to help you with your installs. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe to our channel, ring the bell, turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our videos.